Hello everyone, welcome to SwitchUp. We've got another review for you today, this time of a game called Monster Harvest, and this one was written for us by one of our writers, Rob, so thank you very much to you, Rob. Monster Harvest is a monster collecting and farming ARPG. Think Littlewood or Stardew Valley combined with something like Pokemon, and you're kind of on the right track. It sees you mutating plants using different types of slime to create different planimals, loyal monsters who stay by your side and battle on your behalf. But does it all go to plan, or is it going to get mauled? Well, thank you to the publishing team for the review code, and now let's find out. Story-wise, well, your crazy professor uncle has discovered slime, a substance that can be used to mutate plants into animals. He's far too busy continuing his research to even consider running the family farm, so what does he do? Well, he hands responsibility to you, which seems entirely reasonable considering you have very little experience running a farm at all. You start the game on the overgrown farm and make yourself busy tilling the land, cutting down trees and bashing up the rocks. You quickly learn that wood, rocks and other minerals can be used to craft items such as storage chests, water pipes and farming equipment. You will need to build your barn for the farm's livestock and a pen for your mounts, as you can mutate crops into mounts that subsequently help you travel around that bit faster. A few days into the game and the art of mutating your crops is explained. There is red, blue and green slime. Putting the red onto a plant will cause it to mutate into a planimal, a monster that loyally follows you around and fights on your behalf in combat. The green slime will instantly grow the plant to its final stage, and the blue slime will turn the plant into livestock. It seems like madness, and it is, but it's easy to pick up and it's actually very enjoyable. I went into this expecting it to be another simple farm life game, but then I had the opportunity to grow some more little critters and my interest was immediately piqued. Another returning feature from the farming sim world though is the addition of seasons. The seasons are dry, wet and dark. Each season has its own crops that can be grown, and of course planimals can be mutated from said crops. As you progress through the game, you will learn how to automate your farm chores, allowing you to save some of your much needed stamina for more important escapades. Activities such as chopping wood and tilling the ground use stamina, and once it has depleted, it's time for you to go to bed and start again the next day. However, one interesting feature in Monster Harvest is the ability to go to bed and wake up in the evening, allowing you to carry out some unique tasks such as exploring and battling your way through the cave system. You need to plan your days out well though, as waking up in the evening will only fill approximately 30% of your stamina, so don't use it all day before you go to bed. As you explore around Planimal Point, you will interact with characters along your journey, developing relationships with them. The more they like you, the more likely they are to offer you discounts in their shops, such as the general store or the clinic. North of the town is the Slime Co headquarters and the caves. Now the caves offer a place for you to put your planimals to the test and ultimately level them up. If you keep exploring these caves, well, you might just find out what it is the evil Slime Co are up to. Also north of the city is the Rec Centre, where the NPCs and the boss of Slime Co can be found pitting their planimals against each other. This is quite akin to Pokemon in terms of the battling, and it can be tricky, so make sure you level them up before attempting, or those beloved planimals will die. Very different to Pokemon though is that there's no reviving your monsters. Once they die, they are very much dead. You can however collect their spirit, their heart, their mana, whatever you want to call it, and use it to improve the soil on your farm. You will also find that all of your future planimals of the same type will then grow at a higher level. So far then, this review has been largely positive, and that's because there is so much that is genuinely great about this game. However, there are some serious problems. Basically, Monster Harvest is full of bugs, and I'm not talking cute 16-bit ones that you take into battle, I'm talking about serious and infuriating bugs within the game that will ruin your experience. One of the worst of these bugs is that there are times where you are not able to purchase anything, even with plenty of space in your backpack. It's as though the game just doesn't recognise the fact that you are pressing the A button. Obviously you need to go to shops to buy seeds or slime or to upgrade your equipment, and if you can't do this then you are very limited in how you play the game, and this happened way too many times for my liking. Then there is the issue of while exploring the game's cave system, one room in particular would spawn me into water. The problem with this is there is no point in the game where traversing water is offered, which means the developers haven't offered any way to get out of the water. This forces you to exit the cave system using the in-game menu, which wouldn't be a problem were it not for the fact that you are only allowed to enter the cave system once per evening. So if you had mining for gold or other minerals in mind for the night, well, it's basically tough luck, try again tomorrow. There were other smaller bugs, such as not being able to lay a water pipe because it was trying to highlight an area of the farm that was off the screen, or not being able to craft items despite having the required materials and space in your backpack. But by far the worst bug, and one that literally broke the game, is that I was playing in day 2 of the dry season and experienced the aforementioned bug that stopped me from buying goods. I thought that to try and fix it I would close the game down and restart it. Upon attempting to load the game again, I was taken to the loading screen and waited until eventually it kicked me straight back to the main menu. Yep, that's right, the game just would not load. I closed the game down, restarted the Switch, I even archived the game data and reinstalled it. Each time though, it just wouldn't work. Now you have to keep in mind that this is several hours into the game and there was nothing I could do about it. It's made all the more frustrating by the fact I was really enjoying the game at that time. I persevered though and started a new save file. At the time of writing, I am halfway through the wet season and unfortunately have experienced some of these same bugs again. We've been told that patches are on the way, but in its current state there are major issues. In terms of pure gameplay and the amount of fun I was having, this would easily have scored around 18 out of 20, but factoring in those bugs that caused the game to just not work at times and how much this ultimately hampered my enjoyment, it's with a heavy heart that in its current state I can only give gameplay 7 out of 20. Controls are basic and in theory do the job very well, but again issues with some parts due to the aforementioned bugs mean the score suffers and they get 14 out of 20. In terms of its visual style, Monster Harvest adopts a pixel art style that's somewhere in between 8 and 16-bit. Character sprites have a clear 8-bit look to them, but the level of detail in the backgrounds definitely leans more towards 16-bit. It does look very similar to other farm life sims released over the last few years, such as the aforementioned Stardew Valley or Littlewood, but I do feel that this type of pixel style probably works best for top-down farm life games, with others that have tried to adopt a more 3D look recently perhaps not faring quite so well. Monster Harvest has a vibrant design and simple yet well crafted graphics, which help to create an engaging world. In terms of the monster or planimal designs, some of them certainly have a Pokemon-esque look to them, however I'm talking Game Boy Pokemon, red or blue, that sort of thing, and it feels kind of rustic. This isn't really a bad thing. I was a fan of Pokemon back in the late 90s and early 2000s, and playing this game was kind of a throwback. One negative though is the text size in handheld mode. It is just way too small, and if you are using a Switch Lite or prefer handheld play in general, then you are going to need a high-powered microscope to fully appreciate the game. Joking aside, text in terms of story narration is fine, but when it comes to the in-menu item description, the text is about the smallest I've seen so far. I had to utilise the Switch's zoom function just to read it. It is a shame because Monster Harvest is one of those games that just looks better in handheld mode. Playing on a big screen, it looks a bit bloated because of the art design, if you know what I mean. Onto the audio score, and in essence, this is one of those chill-out farming sim games with the standard relaxing and chirpy style of background music. I like it, honestly it suits the general aesthetic and has that calming atmosphere that this genre of game exudes so well. However, one improvement that would push this game up a tier is narration. It's another game with a text-driven story, and whilst I do appreciate narration is very rarely found in farm games such as these, some voice dialogue would have gone a long way to increasing the overall charm. Visuals are bright with a suitable retro style, and they score 15 out of 20. Audio is relaxing and a little narration would have just elevated it for me, and it also scores 15 out of 20. Monster Harvest costs £14.99 and regional equivalents are on your screen now. There is also an initial discount of 20% off of this price up until the 13th of September, and even without this, price point being asked would have been pretty much perfect, bearing in mind the addictive quality of the gameplay loop with that mix of farming, ARPG elements and monster collecting. The problem is, of course, the sheer number of bugs make it impossible to recommend at this moment in time. As I mentioned earlier, patches have been promised, so some people may decide to buy it now, taking advantage of that discount and play it when it's patched up. But as with gameplay, value is going to take a major hit score-wise, with the game as it currently stands just not working to an acceptable standard. Value then scores 7 out of 20. To conclude, Monster Harvest is a game that should easily have been scoring about 20-25% higher to put it somewhere in the 80s, just in terms of the sheer amount of fun the game was to play. I was having a fantastic time to begin with, I loved the different elements that made up the gameplay and found the aesthetic incredibly charming. However, a myriad of bugs caused things to unravel quickly. We will update the top pinned comment for this review when a patch is released, as the game will be a lot of fun for many people once it's sorted, and perhaps it can also feature in an episode of our All Patched Up series when the time comes. But for now, unfortunately, I seriously recommend holding fire on purchasing. Monster Harvest gets a SwitchUp score of 58%. A big thank you to Rob for writing this one for us. Very disappointing in the end. It sounds like a fantastic game, let down perhaps by being rushed out for release. Let's hope those patches can sort it out. Thank you to our Patreons as always for your continued support, and to each and every one of you for watching our videos. Take care, and until next time, happy gaming.